Hi, guys. This is Pistol Pete Loncarevich. We're doing our podcast with Andy Patterson today. Just want to fill you in. He's a BMX racer from Southern California. Back in the day, raced for JMC. A lot of people remember him. That's when he first started doing his thing. Then he raced for TW with me back in the day with Denny Davidow also, and a couple other guys, top BMXers back in the day from the early 70s. I mean, late 70s, about 77 to about 1979, and then everybody started going different ways on the thing. And then also Andy was on GT and Skyway. Andy Patterson was notorious, known for his 1-foot pedal starts, and he was like an icon because he had long hair, like rock and roll star kind of BMXer, and just a nomadic BMXer, I would say. He's a good friend of mine. All the time we'd hang out and I'd learn a lot from him and he would try to learn from me. And we'd share a lot of information when we were, actually competitors back in the day. And Andy and I raced a lot. He's a little bit older than me, but we would hit each other up in the open classes. And there was a lot of other racers from, Southern California, because you could almost race every single day of the week at one time. In the 80s, it was very competitive in Southern California because of the weather. The East Coast riders were super fast, but I just think that the weather just permitted us to be able to train and get out there and be in the element of the BMX track and come up with innovative ideas of how to, train and stuff like that and set the, the beat for BMX all over the country and Europe. Andy was like one of the first BMXers to go to Europe and do well, become world champion and win big European championships, along with some other guys like Eric Roop and Greg Hill, guys like that. Some of you guys have heard of Greg Hill. Anyways, but other than that, I'm just going to interview him to let you guys know that, he's just been inducted into the Hall of Fame, the USA BMX, recently, and he was a great competitor. I mean, he's always been around, when we were kids. He's always, if you beat Andy, you worked really hard because he's putting it down with those big old feet, and that's what his nickname was, Bigfoot, back in the day. And I wasn't even Pistol Pete. I was not even Sneaky Pete yet. I was just Pete at that moment in my career of BMX. But anyways, so I hope everybody enjoys this interview. Go ahead and just have a fun time listening. Talk to you guys soon. Right on, guys.
We've got some hot and heavies on the line.
We certainly do, Scott. Keep an eye in the center of that gate.
Competition, Pete Loncarevich, past national champion.
Pistol Pete Loncarevich taking the win.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the wacky world of BMX according to the Pistola. Your host, the 4-time national #1 pro and a world champion. Give it up for Pistol Pete!
I'll see you next year in the winner's circle.
We got Andy Patterson here, Bigfoot, notorious BMXer. What's happening? Congratulations, Andy.
Thank you.
With your induction to the Hall of Fame.
See, I'm on the road, but yeah, what an honor it is to have you have a podcast.
Yeah, most definitely, man. Yeah, you're at a trade show, right? Or you're at a BMX show this weekend?
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
On. Okay, there.
There you go. Try
All right.
now.
All right, you got it.
There you are.
I hear you perfectly
Okay.
now. So, anyways, you guys are driving back from a bike show.
Yes, we were at an old school bike show that was at Crown Point in Indiana, and it went over well. It was really cold, but yeah, it was a good show.
Nice. For everybody out there, this is our first podcast, and Bigfoot right here. He used to beat me, and we used to battle as little kids and be great friends. And now we're talking old stories as we're getting older. And I think it's awesome. And Andy's back with the BMX program, just like myself. He's back sponsored by, Skyway. I mean, Skyway's iconic BMX, product from Redding, California. And it's awesome to see you back, and it's just great to see your face and to talk to you.
It's great to be back. It's great to be back in the BMX family again.
All right.
It brings back a lot of memories.
Yeah. So let's get to the stuff. So basically he's world champion. For people that don't know, he's been a world champion. He's been doing BMX for most of his life. He has great stories because he's been around longer than me, especially racing BMX. And also he's always done a 1 foot pedal start. Whereas when we, back in the day, we were doing the 2 pedal start, Andy was like, I'm not conforming to that. He always did the 1 foot start, and he's still notorious. Even if he comes back to BMX again, I'm sure he'll display his 1 foot, Bigfoot, sure start that he loves. Andy,
Yes,
so now that you're back into BMX, and are you enjoying it, that you've got inducted in the Hall of Fame? You got some recognition from everybody?
Oh man, it's just been such an honor, and it's been overwhelming to see. We're just having everybody that still remembers from back in the days, and just had a lot of great memories. People are bringing it up to me, just being at this bike show over the weekend, and things that I remember, and then have the other people that are watching the races that aren't even racers come up to me and bring to my attention certain things that have happened during a race or whatever. That it's just amazing.
So Andy, how old were you when you started BMX, and how did you get into BMX?
I was like around 12 years old. Yeah, 12, 13. I was riding my bicycle in Norwalk, California, Little Lake Park in Norwalk. You remember that track, I'm sure. That was
I
back
do.
in our BMXL days.
Yep.
And I was riding my bike down the road there and came across the park, and they were having a race there, which they only race every 4th Sunday of each month. So that's just once a month. And I just happened to be riding my bicycle by this park. And I went in there and asked about how I could get involved in it. And that's where it all started out, right there, Little Lake Park, Norwalk, California.
Awesome. And you're really, back in the day, we were actually teammates with TW Racing. You were on, what was it? Tyler and Whipple, right? Tyler and Whipple, or was it Taylor and Whipple?
Who it was.
Taylor.
Taylor and Whipple, yes.
Yeah. That was a fun time.
We had an awesome team, believe it or not. If you look back at all the riders and that were on that team at the time. Yeah,
definitely a lot of champions.
Absolutely. I mean, from Corey Neal, Danny Davidal, Leslie Burley, even Bob Morales, even. Remember Bob Morales?
Bob Morales is still out there.
Of course, yourself. I mean, we had one hell of a team for not being out that long, the company or whatever. In fact, I don't even think they got completely started with the company.
Right.
But they sure had one hell of a team.
Absolutely. So Andy, like a lot of people don't know that you and I were just close friends when we were actually tough competitors as kids, when we were teenagers. And why don't you share with people like the weird shit we used to do when we were kids?
Man, from the time where we were trying out different size cranes. You remember that when we had the
I do. Yeah, it's because of you. Cranks. Yeah, it's because of you. I ran
different things, different gearing, the works. Your house, and that's going riding around Orange County area. We used to have a blast.
Yeah, the great times, man, when it's weird because we go all day with almost no water or food and just keep going, like, with no telephones or anything. Kids now, they're like, I can't leave.
Man.
Yeah. Absolutely,
that was the fun
man.
of it. Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Kids are just like, they don't know, like, the crazy stuff we used to do. And now they can't leave their house without their telephone. They need to put their phone down for a minute.
We would use the signal. We'd use the signal lights as a starting gate on Christmas tree.
That's right. Dodging cars in Santa Ana, going to GT bicycles
Dodging
together.
cars, the whole bit.
Yep. I remember.
Sir.
I remember you were the manual master across the street all the time doing those wheelies. When Gary Ellis and I and all the kids would get together and we'd arrive in Florida and we're amateurs, we'd get to the hotel and just start riding everywhere until 12 midnight and then go to sleep and get back up early in the morning, race all weekend.
Let's not forget about jumping in the pools too at the hotels.
Yeah, I remember that. In Mexico, we did it, and we did it a couple different places. It was just a normal thing for us back then to take our BMX bikes and jump into the water with them because we always took care of our bikes. We, back then we had ball bearings, so we had to take them out and put them back in there, and then seal bearings
back together.
Yeah, put it all back together.
Grease it all up and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, well, exactly. So what's going on right now with the bike shows? You're showing up at the bike show. So what is Skyway doing?
After being in, getting into the Hall of Fame, I'm just traveling around, going to all these old school BMX shows, and working with Skyway. We've got a signature series coming out with my name on some of the products. We're going to have wheels, and I'm going to have a frame and fork also that we're working on, along with some other new innovations that people that are affiliated with Skyway don't know about. But like with the pedals and all, we're going to have bars. We're going to have a full line of bicycle parts, aside from just the frame and fork and wheels.
Nice. That's very nice. And so when will those products be available to everybody?
Well, we're working on them now. We're hoping to have some prototypes within the next 4 to 5 months, and looking for production towards the end of the year.
Yeah, very exciting. Very exciting. Are we going to ever see you maybe get in shape and maybe go around the track and battle with Stu and some of the other competitors?
I'm telling you, I'm looking forward to, I'm on a diet now. Obviously, I've gotten, gray hair and gained some weight, but I plan on getting back into, riding. I'm going to be definitely doing some testing on the products myself. But as far as doing any kind of competition, I don't know if I can get myself up to that. I'm not in the kind of shape you are, Pete. You're in great shape, buddy.
Well, thanks, man. I do my, my Richard Simmons tapes as much as I can, and just take care of business. You know what I mean? I'm blessed. I'm just blessed with my health. And I hope everybody else is too. But Andy, so anyways, yeah. And let's go back to GT bicycles. How did you get sponsored by GT?
Well, it started out from when, of course, when we were riding with TW Racing, and things just weren't happening as quickly as I wanted them to. And Rich Long had gotten in touch with me, and he was working 2 local tracks at the time, and I was at those 2 tracks, so we were talking about it. And I wound up getting on the team, and it was kind of one of those things where I had to prove myself, because I really hadn't done much at that time, aside from the like Cook Brother Classics or whatever BMXL had at the time. But BMXL League was nothing like ABA. Of course, we advanced up to that at the time, but that's where it all started out with. Really, is with going on tour with GT. Packed in a GT van like sardines, traveling the United States. It kind of reminds me of like what I'm doing right now. We're in a van and we're traveling from one side of the United States to the other, basically, and it's bringing back old memories just looking at the country right now.
Oh yeah, man, it's great times. It teaches us a lot of valuable lessons, traveling.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So Andy, so when you got on GT, you started traveling, and you and Rich Long was, some of you guys don't know, but, Andy grew up with his mom, and his mom moved to Oregon, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, then he had to get out of there because Oregon wasn't, suited for a BMXer to, become really good because of the weather. So he decided to come down to Southern California, and Rich Long sponsored you, and you showed your skills, and you're, the man back in the day, and everybody's looking at the Bigfoot and wondering like, man, this guy's fast. And yeah, you were super fast, and everybody had their eye on you. And kind of like Lee Medlin back in the day, very consistent, super fast, a very tough competitor.
Yeah,
it's
and
pretty cool.
Was saying that, yeah, that was when I had gotten on GT. Lee was already on the team with GT, so we were teammates at the time. And then Lee went ahead and went on to Kuahara from there, and I stayed on GT right around that time you're talking about. But that's kind of like what gave me the open door, because you remember how fast Lee was. Lee was really, really fast also, he was a real big competitor. And so it kind of gave me an open door in GT to where I don't know if I would have had that opportunity had Lee Medlin still stayed on the team. I was kind of like the underdog to him at first, So
right. So
he went to school.
Yeah. So Rich Long. So basically, Rich Long was more than just a sponsor, right? He actually was kind of like a stepdad to you.
Yeah, he kind of took me under his wing, and I was traveling around with him. Working at these tracks, getting them, cleaned up, ready to, go for the local races. Even worked concession stand. Kind of did all that part. This is back when he had Anaheim Bicycle Center. So he wasn't doing the full-time GT thing yet. Still had the bike shop, and him and Gary Turner were kind of working out the bugs on, getting a company started. So, and in the process of that, he was running the bike shop, Anaheim Bicycle Center, and running 2 local tracks, which was the track in Orange County, the
Elks Lodge. Was it Western Sportsorama?
White track on Chapman, right?
Oh yeah.
The Azusa track as well.
Yeah. Okay. Orange Y, and then we had the Azusa track. Exactly.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, the Y, Orange Y.
Yep, Orange Y. That's where all the Orange County riders.
That turned out to be a real popular and historic track itself. But Rich had it at the beginning. Yeah.
Absolutely. I remember that. I remember seeing his white van out there with a small GT bicycle sticker, and they were back and forth to Azusa, back and forth to Orange County until Ray Rome took it over. At that time,
it was nothing for you to race, 5, 6, 7 times in a week, locally.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about the blue plates, the BMX League days. A lot of people don't know that was around before the ABA, before the NBL, and it was called BMX League, and it was in Orange County, and it was a series of races. They'd race one weekend every single weekend of, I forget, X amount of months, but I remember
they had La Mirada Regional Park, and they had of course the track that I was just speaking about, which was Little Lake Park in Norwalk.
Yes.
And they also had the Santa Ana track. Remember that?
Elks Lodge.
Yeah, that was the Elks Lodge. Yes.
Yeah,
and moving forward, they had remember the Spencers had that track in
Greg Spencer, Westminster.
Yes, Westminster. That track there. So BMXL had, I guess it was about 4 tracks. Is that right?
Absolutely. I think there was 4. I know we had La Mirada.
I know you got number
BMX
1. I remember you took that league by storm, and really that's where it started.
That's where it started for me. Yeah, actually, I won every single race that season somehow.
Did you really?
And
I just remember it being at the awards ceremony, and it's probably the biggest trophy I've ever seen in my life to this day that you had received for that.
Yeah, those are great times, man, and they don't do that so much anymore. Maybe on a local level there, I see Texas is really good, and certain states like Arizona California, not so much,
We
but
had a lot of racers come out of that league that were national caliber or even world champion riders.
oh yeah,
Looking
yeah.
back at it.
I remember seeing Eric Carter there, Billy Griggs, all these guys, David
Tito
Marietti,
Juarez.
yeah, Will Skirdo, and all these guys that used to, beat me down out at the track until I started figuring out how to ride my bike.
How about Sparky Perry? Remember Sparky Perry?
Yeah.
Perry and Chris Gallup. Those were two superb riders that were national caliber that came out of there also.
Yeah, a lot of great riders came out of Southern California because of the great weather, and then also all the great people that put on the courses and tracks and the races and the bike shops, and that's what I don't see anymore is the bike shop stuff. You still have it like in the Midwest because they really respect the sport more than anybody else on the West Coast. I noticed, there's hardcores, but the people really respect the sport in the Midwest.
Kind of weird like that, but yeah, it's definitely different out towards the Midwest and towards the east of the United States compared to California. But
yeah, and that's probably exactly, Andy. I think it's because there's just so much going on. There's so much confusion going on when you're on the West Coast with a little bit better weather. You're able to get out, and there's a lot more things you can get involved in. So,
right,
and in the Midwest, the people, they go through all the seasons. So I think they're like more laid back and pay attention to what's going on, where people in California,
they're already knowing what they're going to do when the weather gets better.
Right. Like I said, like people in California, you're raised there, you don't know if it's winter or summer because it's always a nice weather. So until you live somewhere where you're going through the seasons, you really don't understand that. But it's awesome. But Andy, it's awesome to see you back out here doing it, because I just got back involved in BMX myself.
It feels awesome too, Pete. It really does. I kind of wish I didn't wait as long as I did to get back into the sport, and so much has changed. Like you were saying, so much has changed in the BMX era. But it's good to know that BMX is still here and is still very much alive. I'm really gonna try to promote as much as I can. Getting the old school BMX back into the swing of things. Whatever it takes, if I have to travel around the country, I'll do whatever it takes. But, love the sport and love the people that are involved in it,
Yeah, exactly. So, so what else is going on? Like, so where do you live now?
I'm in Victorville, California, in the high desert. It's like on the way to Vegas, about 2 hours away from Las Vegas, but in San Bernardino County.
Okay. I'm familiar with that. And also, and you have children?
Yeah. I've got my two girls down in Los Angeles, Chanel and Alyssa, and I have Andy Jr. And I'm a grandpa now. He made me a proud grandfather, and they're down there in LA doing really good. They're not affiliated with the BMX industry at all, but they made it to the Hall of Fame and watched me get my award there, and that was something special because I was able to introduce my family to my BMX family, which really meant a lot to me.
Yes. Congratulations again on that. That's just like well deserved, because there's a lot of people that are going to say like, oh, certain people shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame, but it comes down to voters supposedly. So,
right.
Just got to leave it at that, and just appreciate everybody for what they do, and give back. Like what I'm doing too is giving back to the sport. That's why I started this podcast, so I could start talking about things that maybe need to be addressed or people need to be heard. So there's all kinds of different reasons why I want to start this podcast. And I think this is the end, and I really want to say thank you and for being here, Andy, and thank you for the blessings, and good luck to you to whatever you're going to be doing in life. And we will be praying for you every day, just like I pray for all my friends, man. And stay true to BMX. Pistol Pete, word.